This video contains spoilers for Infinity Train Book 4. If you want to watch this cartoon on your own accords, then please do so and come back to this video. Otherwise, thank you and enjoy.
So Infinity Train is finally over. Book 4 just came out recently, and after seeing it myself, I don't like it. Now I know what you're thinking, oh no! Oh no! I thought you liked Infinity Train! To that I say, yes! I absolutely adore Infinity Train and its ballsy storytelling, yet even as an Advent fan, I can't help but feel disappointed. Like watching the finale of Game of Thrones. Don't quote me on that, I never watched Game of Thrones, but you get the idea. I knew something was wrong with this season since I finished Book 3, and it seems like the problem of disinterest has made its manifest in Book 4. If you like Book 4, then good for you. I'm proud that people are letting HBO Max know that Infinity Train is a good show, but for me, this one didn't work out. So the question is, what went wrong with Book 4? What did I not like about it? Prepare for a final stop, probably, because this is Infinity Train Book 4. So just like all the books prior, Infinity Train Book 4 opens up with two new protagonists, Mingi Park and Ryan Akagi, a group of Canadian bros with a big dream of hitting the Big Apple. However, as the years went on, the two become separate with new destinies in mind. Ryan is still playing rock throughout Canada and even manages to get to New York, while Min is struggling to go to finance university between his dead-end job at a diner, his longing for his friend, and even gets accepted to university. That would all change when Ryan and Min reunite at the Dumpty Diner. Ryan finally manages to reach New York and even invites Min for the ride. However, the two then bicker and Ryan steals Min's keys to the diner. They board a train and then upon the Infinity Train, and then get stuck. With the help of a living service bell called Kez, it's up to Ryan and Min to get off the train and go home. All while bickering and playing songs along the way. So right off the bat, the issue with Infinity Train's story is that it's the same thing we've experienced all over again. Someone gets on the train and have to learn lessons to get off the train. But at least in the books prior, the characters were enjoyable and their arcs were well fleshed out and progressed organically as the show went on. In Book 4, on the other hand, the characters have no arcs, and what little of arcs they have are extinguished rather quickly, which is quite sad because the first episode is actually pretty good. It establishes Min and Ryan perfectly, showcasing their childhood, growth, struggles, and longing for each other. It's palpable, profound, and I like it. But once our Canadian-Asian duo get on the Infinity Train, it all goes downhill from there. Infinity Train Book 4 is where Infinity Train derails from good to bad. I can't blame Owen Dennis for how bad the season was. He only wanted to try something new, which is something I can deeply respect. Yet Book 4 just came off as low effort in my opinion. Where do I begin, because there's almost nothing for me to talk about here. Infinity Train Book 4 is bland with almost no redeeming qualities beyond one character in the first episode. The animation is passable. It's nothing special for me to write about, but some of the backgrounds look pretty good, like the Among Us car. Also, can I talk about these cold coat wearing shape-shifting aliens? Their designs kinda bug me because they don't really fit the art style of the show, and they look like something out of a different show entirely, especially when they turn into raccoons, fishes, and gorillas. Book 4 also doesn't have a lot of world building and lore, which I don't know if it was intentional when they meant by they wanted to do something new, but regardless, it just doesn't work well for me because there's nothing I like about it. There's no interesting developments, there's no new discoveries, nothing. Just two guys bickering about random stuff for 10 episodes straight. I gave Book 3 flack for being the weakest season, but at least Book 3 had a few things I enjoyed. I like Grace's, well, fall from grace and eventual redemption to a strong, competent leader and putting the past behind her. I like Simon being an unredeemable asshole. I like Hazel's interaction and whimsical attitude. I like Tuba's voice. I like Amelia making a return and amending for her actions. All that is good, but there's literally nothing here. It's all just two unlikable guys bitching about being together and having different goals, and then forgetting about it almost a few minutes later like it's an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. The writing as a whole is one of the biggest problems with Book 4. The dialogue as a whole at best is generic and unengaging. No charm, no wit, barely any fun interactions, but that's mostly from Kez. Min and Ryan don't play off each other that well, honestly, and every character aside from Kez and maybe the giant pig baby are either unengaging or unlikable. The season's also not that funny, aside from a few moments, but the jokes don't hit me personally. Book 4 also has a few plot holes that are never explained as it goes on. For example, we see Amelia with 1-1 before she became old and took over the train, but they don't do anything with her aside from a brief appearance in one of the last episodes. Also, 1-1 appears without Sad 1, his second personality, so I think this season is a prequel of sorts, yet we don't really learn anything else of it. I really wish to shine the spotlight on young Amelia so we can see how she took over the train and see her experimentation and struggle to resurrect Ulrich. That would have been a great final season in my opinion. Samantha the cat also appears in this season, and I think she said in one episode that she'll have their backs after the Western bug car, but they don't do anything else with her as well. She disappears immediately after like it's nothing. Or what about Min and Ryan's uniforms? They're dressed once again like Amelia from Book 3 as Grand Moff Tarkin wannabes, and they don't even question it. It seems like all they think about are their rad magnetic boots. They don't explain the suits either. Are they agents of 1-1 like Amelia in the season prior? Literally no, because they take off the suits at one point and leave the train unharmed. So what was the point of the suits anyway? I know Amelia didn't get a suit since she is shown at the beginning in her normal wear, and then there's the ongoing problem with the duo's arcs. Mingi and Ryan are on the train because of Ryan, and they argue about their own destinies, university, etc. They can be shown arguing at one point, then calming down and bonding, and then arguing for some random ass reason that they forgot about. Did any of you two numpties remember the last conversation you had, or are you really that dude bro to forget shit? Kez also has an arc, but it's honestly forgettable, so I won't go into detail here. I think the main problem with these arcs is the 10-minute runtime of the episodes. Like, you could fit all three of these character arcs in about a few 22-minute episodes and would greatly improve since we would see these characters develop more. And Kez's arc ends in the most disastrous way possible that I don't even think belongs in the show. The characters absolutely don't save the season because there are barely any characters for me to take in or like. Mingi and Ryan are our heroes this time. I don't like them. I've seen people speculating that these two might be gay, which I thought would happen since being gay in a modern cartoon is practically obligatory, and this has led to some less than stellar results. Yet they aren't surprisingly, but I kinda wish they were because these two characters have about as much depth as a puddle of piss.
Smells good.
The most interest I got from these two was the very first episode, and probably the episode where they play music in a bathroom. That's it. They're just there, bitching about random shit and sometimes forgetting previous conversations, and it makes for an intolerable viewing experience. Kez is a living service bell and is honestly one of the best parts of Book 4. She's laid back, casual, and is such a fun character to watch. Too bad she's shoved next to these two pieces of shit. I also kinda like this giant pig baby voiced by J.K. Simmons, and this larva sheriff that later becomes a butterfly mayor, and that's basically it. I don't care about anyone else, not even the cat. The voice acting is alright. It's not awful, but I genuinely don't care about the voice acting this time. The only performances that stand out to me are the pig baby voiced by J.K. Simmons, and Kez voiced by Eileen from Regular Show. Kez's laid-back voice makes her interactions fun to watch.
Well, you're in a pocket, and you got here by, like, getting on the train. And you have to learn lessons and stuff, and get your number down to 0, otherwise the train won't let you off.
Lessons?
Yeah, because you were, like, screwing up your lives and junk. Never heard of two people getting on at the same time, though. That's wild. Same number, too. Wild.
So overall, this season blows. I get that the guys making this were trying something new, but it just didn't work out for me personally. The characters are unengaging, a few plot holes are abound and never explained, the arcs of the characters are broken and rushed, and it's generally speaking not that good. The finale doesn't help either. So our heroes enter a museum car, which becomes cold the more the characters argue about stuff. After a bit of chat about the train, Ryan thankfully finds his way out and even gets his number down to 0, but he can't leave Min behind as he is about to get eaten by a hand monster. And this is one of the good aspects of Book 4. The scene with the hand monster is intense, anxiety-inducing, and catches the dark magic of Infinity Train for but a fleeting moment. Definitely one of my favorite moments in the season. After this trauma, Min lashes at Ryan for abandoning him, and they make it to Kez's place, a lovely castle surrounded by a large maze. Our duo traverses the maze and have a small conversation, and then are confronted by various nulls pissed off at Kez for their mistakes. So they run, the shapeshifters get crushed by a rock, the butterfly gets eaten by giant pig baby, and the heroes make it through to the castle, blocked by the Among Us party bouncer. They reach the castle that turns out to be Kez's roommate Morgan, and she tortures them to replace her lost friend Jeremy, who died in an accident caused by Kez. This episode sucks, so I'm just gonna get to the end now. So when Ryan sneaks out of his room, he discovers Min-gi playing his instrument, and so Min comes to the conclusion that he doesn't need his university anymore, and so he pledges to join Ryan in his band of Chicken Choice Judy. They play their instruments and a door opens for one of them, but Min doesn't leave Ryan behind, and so they keep playing. Then in the most cartoonishly bad ending ever put in the show, Kez finally says sorry to everyone she's angered, and they all accept it. And so indeed they all apologize, and finally our duo leaves the train. And so, it all ends with Min-gi and Ryan performing their new song, Train to Nowhere, and living happily ever after as rock stars. The end. So that was the ending to book 4. It sucked, honestly. They ended Kez's whole story arc, which she barely even had one. It was just a bunch of accidents she caused in a way that I'd expect to see out of Steven Universe. And it's honestly contrived and lame. And a quick little critique on the song Train to Nowhere at the end. It's decent, yet it's also forgettable. Another good moment in this season. Overall, Infinity Train Book 4 did not work well for me. While I commend them for trying something new, this season blows due to its unengaging and unlikable characters, questionable plot holes, broken storytelling, and was in general just not my cup of tea. Currently there are no plans to continue Infinity Train after Book 4. This is the last stop. There were a total of 8 books planned, with the 5th being a movie and even getting fully written before the show was cancelled. That one was passed due to the lack of a quote, child entry point, whatever the hell that means. Personally, if we did get 8 seasons, I think that it would have caused some serious burnout and eventually grow into its own detriment. I love Infinity Train as much as some of you watching this, but 8 seasons sounds like a shitload of work to put into, and I think maybe the more the burnout grows, the worse these hypothetical books could get, since they would be the same formula as the previous books. I saw this with book 3 and it continued with book 4. I love Infinity Train, but I think it's a good idea to let old dogs sleep. If you love book 4, then that's great. I'm glad that this season is getting some love, but for me, an avid fan of the show, it just didn't work. It went off the main track and crashed into a pile of dynamite barely salvageable of what it was. The show may be over, but I will never forget the unforgettable ride of a lifetime. So you know what? Thank you, Infinity Train. Thank you for bringing me back to watching cartoons again. Thank you for having the toughest of balls and traumatizing kids on television. Thank you for the such entertaining characters and great mystery solving. It's been a fun ride, yet it all must come to an end. I'm gonna have to rate book 4 a broken guitar out of Tulip. Or in other words, a 4 out of 10. Nice try, but what a disappointing final stop.